Hey, I'm Rob from JestaThaRogue.com and I'm going to show you how to play Under Falling Skies. This is a game for one player only, plays in about 40 minutes, is designed by Thomas Euler and is published by Czech Games Edition. Your city is under attack from a large alien mothership and waves of smaller alien ships. Expand your base and activate the rooms to generate power and fend off the descending alien ships, all while working on your research. In the standalone game, hit your research target before your city takes too much damage or the mothership descends on the city to win. So in this video I'm going to look at all the rules from the full standalone game, but none of the campaign content, so it's going to be spoiler free. For setup, take the following out of the box. The player pieces are 3 grey and 2 white worker dice, the 2 blue robot dice, the green research marker, the yellow energy marker and the red damage marker, and the orange excavator. The alien pieces are the mothership tile, the 5 purple alien ships and the 4 white alien ships. The rest of the pieces are the 4 sky tiles, the Roswell, New York and Washington City tiles and the 3 base tiles. It's basically everything in the box on top of the campaign notebook, minus the orange ship, which you don't need yet. You can also return base tile C and the New York and Washington City tiles to the box for your first game, but I will talk about how you introduce them into the standalone game as we go. Set up the board with a mothership at the end, with a purple ship on each outline space. This is followed by the 4 sky tiles, starting with the darkest at the top down to the lightest at the bottom. For the first game, make sure the tiles are metal side up, not the purple splooge side up as shown here. That side of the tile has a star. Each star showing during the game will increase the difficulty to a maximum level of 4 stars. So if you want to increase the difficulty in future games, flip over any number of those tiles randomly. After the sky tiles, add Roswell, blue side up rather than red. I'll explain the red side later. After the city, you place the 2 base tiles. For Roswell, you need base tile A and B. The Roswell tile shows an A up arrow above a B down arrow. This tells us which base tiles to use, which side they should be on and in what order. As the A arrow is on the top, place base tile A on the side showing the up arrow at the top of the base, directly under Roswell. As the B down arrow is on the bottom, place base tile B on the side showing the down arrow at the bottom of the base, directly under tile A. In future games you can play with either New York or Washington DC instead of Roswell. Not only do these cities also have different abilities printed on both the blue and red side, but they also change the base layout, so to be sure to check the city tile and make sure you arrange the base in the correct way, including using base tile C for both these new cities. For example, New York has C at the top and A at the bottom, and do remember that matching the direction of the arrows is important. Put the excavator in its starting space in the circle in the base, facing in the direction shown on the board. The green research marker starts in its space on the alien head at the start of the research track on the city tile. The energy marker goes in its circle space on the energy track in the base. And the damage marker goes on the space on the explosion at the top of the damage track. The game is played over 7 rounds, each with 3 phases. The dice phase, the runes phase and the mothership phase. Phase 1 is the dice phase. You roll the 5 worker dice, that's the 3 grey and 2 white dice. One at a time, place a die in a room in your base and then move alien ships in the matching column. But you can only play a die in one of the 5 columns that do not already contain a worker die. We'll get onto blue robot dice later, but you ignore them for this rule. Only worker dice fill a column. Also, you can only play on spaces that have been excavated, meaning those behind the excavator following the path. But once per round, you can place 1 die in front of the excavator to excavate new rooms. These can be placed any number of spaces ahead of the excavator, but the die value must be equal to or higher than that number of spaces. For example, using a 4, I could place in any of these 4 spaces, assuming no other worker dice are in those columns of course. Whenever you place a worker die, move any ships in that column down that many spaces. Ships move simultaneously, so if there is more than 1 ship in a column, move them all. If you place the die on an AA gun at the top row of the base, the ship moves 1 fewer space, shown with the -1 icon on the gun itself. That means if you place a 1 here, ships in that column will not move. If an alien ship descended below the sky into the city, it deals 1 damage to the city. Move the red damage marker down 1 space. Return the alien ship to the mothership. Immediately after moving, alien ships trigger the space they land on. If multiple ships move, trigger them from top to bottom. Arrows. Move the ship a column in that direction shown if the space they are moving into is empty. If it's full, they stay on the arrow space. Mothership. Move the mothership down 1 row. Ships overlapped by the mothership this way return to the mothership. Mothership actions down the side of the board or explosion icons on the board are not used in this step, except for the skull at the bottom of the mothership track. More on all of those things shortly. After you place the white die, you must re-roll all unplaced worker dice. After you've placed all your dice, go to phase 2, the room phase. Here you resolved all your placed dice in any order you choose, then discard the die. Also, if you want to, you can remove the die without using the room's ability. Some rooms have an energy cost shown with energy bolts. Pay the cost on the yellow track before activating. For example, this research room requires that you spend 2 energy before activating it. You need to know how to work out the value of a room. This is the total of all dice in that room, plus or minus the room's modifier, which is shown on the board. For example, this research room has a 5, but a -1 modifier, making the room value 4. Some rooms combine multiple dice together and all spaces must be filled to activate. For example, this double energy room has a 5 and a 4 with a -3 modifier. 5 plus 4 minus 3 equals a room value of 6. If a multi-space room isn't completely full of dice, the dice placed there have no effect. Okay, let's see what these rooms do. AA guns did their job, slowing down the movement of the alien ship and do nothing else. Remove the die. The blank excavated tunnels have no effect at all and you can remove any die on these two. Yellow energy rooms give you the room value in energy. You can't have more than the track allows and any extra is lost. Orange jet fighter rooms let you shoot down all enemy ships on explosion spaces equal to or less than the room value. For example, this jet fighter room has a worker die of 5 and a modifier -1, giving it a room value of 4. Also, I will need to pay 1 energy. I will be able to shoot down the 2 purple alien ships on the value 3 and 4 explosions as they are equal to or lower than the jet fighter room value of 4. The 2 white ships on the 5 and 6 explosion spaces survive the attack. Purple ships go back to the mothership, white ships are returned to the supply. Green research rooms allow you to move on the research track. Move up as many spaces on the track as you can from the room value. For example, this room value is 6. I have 2 energy left to pay the energy cost. I can move up 6 on the research track, so 3 for the first space, 1 for the next space, that's 4. As I only have 2 left and the next space is 3, I stay here for now. Each research room is resolved separately and you can't add them all together, but you can activate them in any order to get the best result. Pay 1 energy to move the excavator. This is shown on the meeple as a reminder. Remove the die and move the excavator to that space. All rooms behind are now excavated and can be activated in the next round. Washington DC and New York have robot rooms. When activated, set a blue robot die to the room value and install them into an empty excavated room and turn it 45 degrees to show it can't be activated the turn it was installed. If you don't have any robots in your supply, you can move one from another room instead. Installing a robot does not move the ships in that column and you can bump it off the board by placing a worker die on the robot die in later turns, returning it to the supply. From the next round, these robots activate as normal, except after activating they stay in place and are decreased in value by 1. If that takes the robot die below 1, remove it from the board. After activating a robot, turn it to 45 degrees to show it's already been activated this turn. Robots can be placed on the AA gun rooms, but they don't activate the room's ability. An exhausted robot doesn't count for anything, so if it's 1/2 of a multi-space room like this, the room can't be activated. Also, if you decide not to use a robot in a round, you don't decrease its value. After activating all of the placed dice, straighten all robot dice in play. Then goes to phase 3, the mothership phase, which has 3 steps. Step 1, move the mothership down 1 row. If it goes over any ships, put them on the mothership. Step 2, resolve the mothership action. The arrow on the right of the mothership points at which action it will take. Let's look at them. Excavator. There has been a cave-in. Move it back that many spaces, but don't go back further than the excavator starting space. If the excavator is moved back past a robot, it is buried. Remove it from the board. Green alien. Move the research track back the number of spaces shown. For example, this says move back 1 space. So you move the green marker back 1 space now. White ship. Add that many white ships from the supply to the mothership. If there are not enough in the supply, just add as many as you can. Explosion. Deal 1 damage to the base. If the mothership ever reaches the skull, it's game over and you lose. Step 3 is to spawn new ships. Purple ships will spawn before white ships and will first spawn in columns with no alien ship in them currently. If there are more empty columns than ships to spawn, you choose the columns they spawn in. Then spawn ships in the column with the most empty spaces at the top. For example, the column on the left has 1 empty space, the column on the right has 2 empty spaces, so the ship will go into the column on the right. And if there's a tie for the furthest descended ship, you choose which columns they spawn in. If all 5 spaces are full, you don't spawn any more ships. When complete, go back to phase 1 and place dice again. As mentioned, if the mothership ever gets to the skull, you lose. If the base gets to 0 health, you lose. But if the research track gets to the top, you win immediately. If you lose, you can flip the city tile over to its red damage side and play again. This gives you an improved city ability, making the game a little easier. For example, in Roswell you can advance 1 space on the research track the first time the base takes damage. If you're continuing this way, flip sky tiles back to their original position and flip random tiles back over up to the difficulty level you have chosen. And when you're ready and you've played a game or 2, head over to the campaign and save the world. That's Under Fallen Skies, a solo dice placement game. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when a video goes live. You can follow me on Twitter, Insta, Twitch and YouTube at JestaThaRogue, and finally find the blog at JestaThaRogue.com. I've been Rob aka JestaThaRogue, and I'll see you soon.